ठंडा ठंडा
तो आप तो आपका वर्किंग डे होगा डॉक्टर साहब?
नहीं, हमारे तो छुट्टी है जी।
आपका भी 5 डे है ना?
5 डेज, बट लग ही जाता है मेरा अपना। हाँ जी सर, नमस्ते सर।
सिंह साहब नमस्कार सर। अरे वी आर प्रिविलेज्ड टू हैव यू हियर इन आवर दिस सेमिनार सर। कहाँ पर अभी यूएस में है या इंडिया में आ गए सर? यू आर म्यूटेड सर, प्लीज अनम्यूट। प्लीज अनम्यूट सर।
हाँ जी,
यस सर,
हो गया।
हाँ नाउ
हाँ जी हो गया जी, हो गया सर। कितना टाइम हुआ है वहां पे आज
भाई?
अभी कितना टाइम है आपके?
नरपिंदर आज कुछ कमजोर लग रहा भाई।
ये हो गया
थोड़ा चेंज भी सर, चेंज भी लग रहा हो ना।
इस लुक में एकदम से नया लुक देख रहे हैं आप।
हाँ, इसीलिए कहा
इस लुक में बहुत रेयरली दिखते हैं ना।
हाँ। पर लग रहा है अब अमृतसर ही लग रहा है।
ठीक है, बिल्कुल सर, बिल्कुल। मैंने कहा अमृतसर में तो पूरा फिर उसी हिसाब से होनी चाहिए प्रेजेंटेशन।
गुड।
और सर आपकी सेहत कैसे है?
बिल्कुल चंगी है।
चलो बहुत
अच्छा।
हाँ तो अभी आजकल मौसम बढ़िया होगा।
हाँ, अब मौसम ठीक हो गया है। या वैसे अभी भी मतलब 15-16 सेल्सियस तक रहता है बस।
15-16 तो ठीक ही है सर।
तो बाहर हल्की अभी जैकेट पहननी पड़ती है। तो अभी आपकी मिश्रा जी ये सीरीज कब तक है?
सर अब एक बार शुरू हो गया। हम लोग तो कोरोना में शुरू किए थे और अब चल रहा है जब तक। maybe we will request you also sir at a convenient time, अगर आप थोड़ा सा, क्योंकि आपके अपने हिसाब से टाइमिंग्स भी हम लोग थोड़ा रीशेड्यूल कर सकते हैं, कर लेंगे जैसा आप कहें।
हमको तो सुनना ही अच्छा लगता है।
नहीं सर, और आप लोग, आपको बाकी लोग भी मतलब यू वुड लाइक यू टू लिसन, बट ठीक है सर, कंटिन्यू करते हैं जब तक चलता है। बिकॉज इससे एक बड़ा अच्छा वैल्यूएबल मटेरियल कलेक्ट हो जा रहा है। ऑल दीज लेक्चर्स रिकॉर्डेड और हम लोग के लैब वेबसाइट में देयर, तो बाद में भी बहुत लोग देखते हैं एंड वी आर गेटिंग वेरी गुड कमेंट्स फ्रॉम द पीपल। वेरी वैल्यूएबल इनपुट्स एटलीस्ट पब्लिक डोमेन में आ रहा है इससे। हमारा एफर्ट तो रहेगा, तो अभी जब तक एटलीस्ट आईआईटी में एक्टिव सर्विस कंटिन्यू 1 साल और।
अच्छा। गर्मी कितनी हो रही है अभी?
अभी सर टेम्परेचर इज अराउंड 40 इन अमृतसर।
अच्छा। चलिए, इस साल तो काफी रिकॉर्ड ब्रेक हो गए ना पुराने गर्मी के।
मैं कह रहा था सर कि हम लोगों के कैंपस में अभी
हाँ
देख
जी।
रहे हैं जो नीम के पेड़ है, नीम के
हाँ।
पेड़ जो है सेलेक्टिवली फिर सूख रहे हैं। पता नहीं, इस समय तो ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए, बट गर्मी से क्या रीजन है।
अच्छा।
ऐसा ही हुआ था जब शुरू में कोविड शुरू हुआ था तब, तो और अब इसमें बार ठीक हो गया था। अब फिर देख रहे हैं इधर कुछ दिनों से, एक हफ्ता 10 दिन से अगेन जितने नीम के गाछ ड्राई हो रहे हैं, पत्ते सब जो है सूख जा रहे हैं।
प्लांट पैथोलॉजी वाले कुछ एक्सपर्ट बुला के दिखाइए किसी को,
प्लांट पैथोलॉजी वालों को,
क्योंकि आपके ग्रुप में तो है नहीं पैथोलॉजी वाले।
हम लोग के यहाँ नहीं है सर। हम लोग तो वही दिमाग जाता कि लगता कुछ है।
पर वो हाँ, कल्याण में है, कल्याण यूनिवर्सिटी में तो है ना काफी लोग।
हाँ, वहां से कुछ किसी से आई थिंक वी कैन। सो 1703 हो गया सर, क्या 1705 पर स्टार्ट कर देंगे?
अच्छा डॉक्टर मिश्रा, 1 hour इज ओके?
हाँ यस सर, इट इज योर आपके ऊपर है पूरा टोटली। वी आर एकदम से एक फ्री लेक्चर सीरीज रखे हैं, और यू में हैव जैसे कुछ एक्सपर्ट्स तो जस्ट थोड़ी देर बोल के, और दे हैव जस्ट इंटरेक्टेड आल्सो, क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन, इंटरेक्शन। सो इट इज अप टू यू सर। और हम रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे कि अगर आपसे आपके लेक्चर के पहले अगर 2 मिनट प्रोफेसर सिंह
we will interact in the end.
हाँ,
Okay, we will have some. Okay. Because I will be presenting some general data, some research finding from my own papers, and then challenges.
Yes, sir. Or I think now we can start Siddharth. At the beginning, we will request Professor Gajendra Singh just to say a few words in the honor of Professor Narpinder Singh.
Well, thank you, Dr. Mishra. I have known Dr. Narpinder Singh, I don't know for how many years, but for a long time. I must say that he is one of the best food scientists we have in the country, and he's ranked in the whole world also in terms of his contribution to the research. So we are very proud, and I feel very proud having been associated with him for a long time. And we keep in touch, and Narpinder, is always a pleasure to talk to him. I look forward to his seminar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's great pleasure that Dr. Gajendra Singh is also in this seminar. So,
sir, processing.
I am going to share my slide.
Just wait, sir. Wait a minute. I think
Pardon?
they have some. They will some from the laboratory organizers. थोड़ा सा आपको फॉर्मली इंट्रोड्यूस कर देंगे ये लोग थोड़ा। क्या हुआ अनस कहाँ है? मतलब whole thing is being sir managed by research scholars. There. Anas, are you not able to share your screen?
Sir, I'll be doing it using ma'am's this thing actually. Perhaps my microphone is a bit not working. A very warm welcome and a very good evening to one and all present here to the 37th webinar series of FCTL. And today we have with us Dr. Narpinder Singh, who is a professor at the Department of Food Science and Technology, Guru Nanak Dev University. So I would now like to formally welcome him. Siddharth sir, can you please share the slide? Thank you. Dr. Narpinder Singh is a professor at the Department of Food Science and Technology, Guru Nanak Dev University. He has been ranked #1 in India in the field of agriculture, fishery, and forestry by Stanford University, Publishing House Elsevier, and SciTech strategies, who have created a ranking of top 2% scientists currently working in the world till 2021, based on their research quality and quantitative indicators such as citations, H-index, number of research papers, etc. Recently, Research.com ranked him at 18th position in chemistry in India. Dr. Narpinder Singh is internationally renowned for his research in food technology, having more than 300 publications to his credit, with a very high H-index of 78 at Google Scholar, and with more than 21,000 citations. Dr. Singh is a fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry, Cereals and Grain, formerly Association of Cereals Chemists International, National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, Indian National Science Academy, National Academy of Sciences India, Association of Food Scientists and Technologists India, and Punjab Academy of Sciences. He has been conferred with Professor Krishna Sahai Bilgrami Memorial Medal in 2021 in Agricultural Sciences by Indian National Science Academy. He has also been conferred with the Rafi Ahmed Kidwai Award by the Indian Council of Agricultural Research and J.C. Bose National Fellowship awarded by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, along with many other prestigious national awards. Only brilliant scientists with exceptional research productivity and the ready applicability of their research findings to academia and industry are rewarded in such a manner. Dr. Singh has served Guru Nanak Dev University as Director of Research for 3 years, Dean, Faculty of Applied Sciences for 3 years, and Head of Department for 8 years. He has also served as Coordinator, University Industry Linkage Program for 3 years. He was also elected President of Association of Food Scientists and Technologists India in 2016. Dr. Singh has been serving as an expert member in many prestigious research programs committees at the national level, including but not limited to the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, Department of Science and Technology, DST, Department of Biotechnology, DPT, University Grants Commission, UGC, Science and Engineering Research Board, SERB, etc. He has also served as a visiting professor in various prestigious universities of the world in the US, UK, China, and Japan. With this, we are very honored to welcome Dr. Narpinder Singh to our FCTL webinar series, and I would now like to formally invite him to deliver the seminar. Sorry for the inconvenience due to the microphone.
Thank you very much for my elaborated introduction. Today I have selected food security and processing challenges topic. And in this topic, I would be talking about all the issues related to our country and what are the various challenges in future related to food processing. If we talk about food security means an access of adequate amount of food to everyone, which is required for meeting the requirement of a daily requirement of nutrition. When we talk about food security doesn't mean that only to meet the calorie requirement of food, like a person require about 2,200 kilocalories of energy. We require other nutrients also to meet our daily vitamins requirement, or like minerals, vitamins, and to make our body healthy. And at present, if we see that the undernourished people, we have the largest population of undernourished people in our country, and we have about 189 million people out of 800 people population of undernourished people in the world. And it is a great issue in front of us. Like if we have large number of people who are undernourished, it means they are not productive. They are not either getting the jobs. That's why they don't have the money to purchase the food. That's why they are not able to meet their requirement. So we call this relationship as often the food nutritional livelihood. Like some people, they have don't have jobs. That's why they are not able to buy the food to meet their daily requirements. So malnourishment, it leads to stunted growth. And once the stunted growth has occurred, it cannot be reversed even after For example, if the children, they have suffered the nutritional, they have not received the nutritional diet, and after if 10, 15 years, if you start giving the good nutritious food, they are not able to reverse this effect of stunting. So this leads to premature failure of the vital organs during the adulthood. We usually measure the global hunger index, and basically there are four parameters which are used for this measurement of the global hunger index. Like we see the number of what is the population of the children below the age of 5 who are undernourished, and we see what is the child mortality rate, how many are severely undernourished. There are 4-5 parameters to understand the global hunger index. India is at 101st position, and we have 27.5 hunger index. Even it is very unfortunate that the hunger index of the Bangladesh is less, and China and Brazil, though they have large they have more population, still they have very good global hunger index of less than 5. So it is very serious if we do the classification, and if the global hunger index is less than 10, it means there is low population of the hungry people, and if it is 20 to 34.9, it means the people are seriously hungry, and our population falls in this category that we have the 27.5 GHI. What are the various factors? We know that population is expanding at a very fast rate. Then there is a problem of urbanization, available land for growing crops, water crisis, climate change, non-food uses of the grain, and post-harvest losses. If we see at present, if the global population is around 7.2 billion, and it is expected to increase to 9.2 billion by 2050. And of course, naturally, there is a great, the competition throughout the world for the food. If we see the population at present, we are at number 2, and it is 1,405 million people. And in 2013, it is 1,252 million people. In next, by 2050, we will be the most populous country, and our population would be 1.755 billion, and we will have more population as compared to China. And approximately, we are going to add the present population, that is 334 million people, and we will be adding the population of USA next by 2050. So we have to make a policy that how we are going to feed our increasing population, and how we are going to manage, and how we are going to ensure that everybody will get food, safer food, healthier food, nutritious food. So this is already in some cities, you can see a large population, overcrowded population is there in some of the part of the cities. If we see the life expectancy, it is very good sign that life expectancy has increased throughout the world, and even in India, the life expectancy is 64.7 years, and it is further expected to go beyond this limit. It is very good that we have improved the standards, and we have better hospital facilities as compared to 20, 30 years ago. The elderly people population is also increasing. Currently, we have 138 million people in India, and the elderly people population beyond the age of 60 years. Naturally, the issues related to food consumption by the elderly people, they need more nutritious diet. They have the problems of swallowing the food, eating food, and special requirements would be there. And food industry is not taking, or considering their requirements. So we will have large number of people by 2050. We have 326 million people, almost the present population of USA. So we should have some plans. We should have some vision how we are going to meet the requirement of the elderly people. Land availability is decreasing at present. It has shrunk to 0.12 hectares per capita in India against 0.29 hectares in the world. So it is also, of course, expected to decrease in the coming years as our population is expanding. Water crisis, already people are talking about the water crisis would be there, and the rice cultivation in Punjab has already depleted at a very faster rate. And we know that 1 kg of rice, to produce 1 kg of rice, about 3,000 to 5,000 liters of water is required. So around 7 million tons of basmati is produced, and of that, 2/3 is exported from Punjab. So we are just considering the price of the basmati rice, but we are not considering the amount of water involved, or the resources depleted during the production of rice actually. But whenever the price is to be calculated, we must consider how much electricity has been used, how much diesel has been used, how much water has been used. All resources are depleted in the production of rice. And if we will not consider this, there is no, in few years, the Punjab will become the desert. This is the one of the story of Peru Asparagus Valley, where they started growing asparagus. Asparagus is a very thirsty crop as paddy. It also consumes a lot of amount of water. And this Peru Valley, they started growing asparagus to export to different countries. And now they are also having the same problem of depleted water. So if we are not going to stop the production of paddy, and if we will not diversify or replace paddy with some other crops, there is there are chances that we will have the shortage of water in coming years. We also talk about, because of the intensive farming and the soil fertility is decreasing or declining throughout the world. And we need to make our policies that if by 2050, if the population will increase to 1.7 billion, how we are going to feed our the population, and when there is the soil fertility is depleting, and the agriculture yield has already reached to the saturation point, and when there is a depletion of water also. Then there is climate change. We have already seen that the temperature is changing, and this in the winter we have seen that winter become prolonged, and now we have very high temperature in the month of May. And when the climate is changing, I will just show you some of the slides from my own work also. This is the global mean radiative forcing which are contributing: the oil and gas production, gas emission, coal mining, municipal waste, wastewater, and production of livestock, as well as rice paddies. The meat consumption is also increasing, and we are looking forward to have some sustainable way of producing meat, because these livestock, they also contributed to climate change, they contribute to global warming. Production of rice also contribute in the same way. Beside the waste, food waste also contribute. We will also discuss in coming slides. The shortage in the grain production, definitely when there is change in climate, change in cultivation, then definitely the requirement of the fertilizer, pesticides will change. There will be change in the plantation date. We need to develop more varieties which are heat resistance. Then incidence of pests, weeds, and disease of various crops will be more pronounced, and these will be the issues. Around 6 million tons of loss in wheat for every 1 degree increase in temperature is already estimated. This is one of my work which we publish in food chemistry, and we have shown that the temperature at the time of flowering, if it is high, like here the temperature is low, here the temperature is high, there is decline in the seed maturation in case of the heat stress wheat. When you have the heat stress, there is also increase in temperature and seed maturation stage is also decreased. This leads to change in the quality of wheat. Not only the productivity yield is decreased about 5-10 quintal in a season per acre, but it also changed the grain hardness, the proportion of starch and protein change, the grain becomes shriveled, and the quality of the flour and produced from such wheat is also not good. Like if I just give you one, show you one of the slide that in case of DSEs, the heat stressed wheat that is red, you can see there is change in the grain diameter. The grain becomes shriveled, then the grain become very hard. You can see the red one is the heat stressed wheat. When the temperature at the time of flowering is more, grain has more hardness, diameter is less, the grain is shriveled, and then the grain weight is also decreased. You can see there is a lot of difference. But we have taken different varieties. Like, so some of the varieties, they are resistant to heat. That's why there is less change. But in some varieties, there is a great change. You can see 30 and 42 grain weight. That is 1,000 kernel weight. There is a lot of difference. Then if we see that field emission scanning electron microscope, this is normal wheat. This is the wheat when it was stressed, when high temperature was present at the time of flowering. The grain structure is distorted and very hard. This work was published in Food Chemistry Journal in 2021. Similar work we carried out on rice. And in case of rice, you can see we have tried to predict the heat stress by changing the date of transplantation. Right? If we see on this variety was when grown on 5th June, 15th June, 25th of June and 5th July, you can see there is a change in the date of flowering. And at the time of flowering, you know, when you delay, the temperature is lower. When you transplant early, the temperature is high at the time of flowering. This difference in temperature, by delaying the temperature, play a very, very important role in the quality of rice. Not only the productivity decrease, but also the milling quality, cooking quality, texture properties are also changed. And rice, when it is grown under heat stress condition, has low amylase and more stickiness, and there is less of the head rice recovery. During milling, the grain breaks more. That's why this both piece of work indicate how the climate change affect the quality, not on the productivity. So there will be a great challenge for the industry if the heat stress or the climate change would be there. The baking industry will not get the desired traits in their flour because wheat grains get shriveled. Similarly, in case of rice, if there is more breakage, the milling industry would not be interested to buy that rice. So we should keep in mind that how the climate change is going to affect the quality. This is the research paper which was published in Cereal Chemistry Journal in 2014. There is another challenge that everybody is saying that we should use ethanol, and there is a lot of plants are being erected in Punjab and other states, and government has already given the target of E30 in India, right? E30 means we have to use about 30% of the ethanol in gasoline. So at present we are using E7, that is 7% of ethanol in the gasoline. So E10, E15, E85 means that E85, 85% of ethanol and 15% gasoline, that is petrol. So people are already, America is the largest producer and consumer of the ethanol. And, if these developing countries where there is more land, where there is more opportunity to grow the agriculture crops for poor countries where the population is more, but like in Canada, in USA, the population is less, but they have a lot of land. But if they will start using the agriculture crops for the production of non-food uses, that naturally there will be scarcity in the grains in the international market, and the prices will go high. We call fuel flex vehicles, right? Brazil, USA, Canada has already started producing that, and the USA produced about 13.8 billion gallons of ethanol, and Brazil and USA both contribute to 84% of the world ethanol production. So naturally, it is coming from maize, and maize is used. 80% of the maize goes in India for poultry birds, and the demand for poultry products is increasing. And if we start producing the maize for ethanol plants, and there is reduction in the availability of corn, naturally the prices for the poultry meat and eggs will also increase. We know that bioethanol and biofuel comes from wheat, corn, sugar beet, sugar cane, and molasses, while biodiesel comes from vegetable oils. So naturally, the prices will increase if we start using all these crops for non-food purposes, right? So it will also change the food prices. There is a lot of, the competition in the market, and price hike has already led food riots in many developing countries like Cameroon, Egypt, Indonesia, and Somalia. Now it's another issue of Russia and Ukraine war, right, which is also affecting the food security. And more than 26 countries rely for about 50% of their wheat import on both these countries. So in 2020, wheat exports by Russian Federation, Ukraine accounts for about 30% of the global market. And naturally, when the farmers during the wartime will not be able to grow their wheat, and it is also in many newspapers, it is written that many of the farmers in Ukraine were not able to harvest their crops. If they will not be able to harvest and grow the next crops, naturally there will be a scarcity, the prices will go higher, because many African countries, they are getting the wheat from Ukraine and Russia, and there will be a crisis and the price will go high, and undernourished people will also increase. If we see the world market share of Ukraine and Russia about the important agriculture commodities, you see that the Ukraine contribute a lot to sunflower, and about 80% of the sunflower oil in India is coming from Ukraine. This is the reason, because the oil of sunflower was not available. That's why you have seen that the vegetable oil price has gone to around 200 rupees per liter, which was about 120 liters per 100 rupees, 120 rupees per liter. So next, naturally, we need to know, or we need to have a policy, the government, that how we are going to meet the requirement of the oil in coming year. Similarly, you can see wheat and Russia and Ukraine both, I think, contribute to 55% of the export. And barley, this time again there will be shortage of barley malt, and again the malty drinks, maybe it will affect the production of beer and malt-based drinks. And so this war is going to play an important role in affecting the food security. So India produces around 120 million tons of rice and 109 million tons of wheat, and India will require to increase its productivity to meet the requirement of 1.7 billion. So we have 1.4, and the population will be 1.7 billion. And how we are going to increase the productivity of both, as we are already contesting that soil is degrading, the water is getting depleted, and how we are going to meet the requirement of the coming population. So this is some of the slides where already we have seen that during the Green Revolution, we have not enhanced the productivity of our pulses. Of course, we have made a tremendous effort in increasing the productivity of wheat and rice, but there is not much increase in the productivity of legumes. And then there is another issue that the Food Safety Standard Authority of India has been established under the Food Safety Standard Act 2006, which is a statutory body for laying down science-based standards for the articles of food and regulating manufacturing. I don't know how we are going to regulate the manufacturing, processing, distribution, sale, and import of food when the population will go to 1.7 billion by 2050. And we need to make the policies because we require number of food laboratories. We have to enhance the processing capacity. We have to enhance the storageability of our, the present warehouses. So we have to make this is another challenge in next 10, 20 years. We are a number one producer of pulses. About 25% of the pulses are in the world productivity is contributed by India, but still there is scarcity. Every year we have to get it from Australia or some other countries, and we also have to see how we are going to meet the requirement of our population for pulses. So the paddy I have already explained, we require more vegetables, we require more paddy in coming years, right? Milk is same that. So egg, again, we have to increase. If you see in the beginning of 1960 to 70 or 80, there was not steep, rise in the requirement, but its production would be required to enhance as we need to feed our population the high quality protein. So naturally, we have to see how we are going to meet our requirements for eggs. FAO has already estimated that food production or crop production, need to be enhanced by 70% by 2050 to feed the world population. So 9.2 billion would be the population. So we have to enhance 70% of the production. So is it possible in next 20 years that we can enhance the productivity to the extent of 70%? Is a great challenge, right? When the nutrients are depleting, water is getting depleted, and there is a lot of urbanization, land for cultivation is also decreasing. So how it would be achieved is a great challenge. This is again because of the limitations of water, then global warming will also cause the additional problem. Then there is a lot of pressure that the ethanol, the greenhouse gases should be reduced, and there is drought, heat waves, inconsistent weather, and now again all these are the challenges and how we are going to tackle these challenges. So this is all about the productivity. Again, we have to enhance the productivity of milk. Then we have already, people are talking about post-harvest losses, and during the Green Revolution, we have increased the productivity of wheat, but in India, pulses have not received the same attention as its yield has remained static or has not increased during the last 30 years. Again, we need to look into that, how the productivity of the pulses needs can be enhanced. This is the recent, the news-related food loss, and it is already reported that there is estimated 2.5 billion ton of food which goes uneaten throughout the world every year, right? That is an increase in approximately 1.2 billion tons on the established estimate of 1.3 billion tons. It is estimated that it will be enhanced. These new estimates indicate that of all the food grown, approximately 70% goes uneaten, which is higher than the previous estimated figure. People have started saying because of the problems of storage, and in the last year also because of the pandemic, we have seen that large amount of crops get damaged in the field because the farmers were not able to sell in the market. So if such type of pandemic or some wars and some other problems are there, definitely, again, there will be more loss of food. Already, people are talking about greenhouse gases. I have
Request all the participants to please stay online. I think we have some problem.
I think it appears there is some problem with Professor Singh. All right, he has some network issue. So please wait for some time. हाँ सर जरा एक बार दोबारा शेयर कीजिए अपनी स्क्रीन.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know that.
There was some. बहुत बढ़िया लेक्चर चल रहा है. You are giving. हाँ. अब you go to I think 46 number slide देखिए सर.
I will come to 46.
मिल्क जहाँ से आप स्टार्ट किए थे उसके बाद और आगे है. आई थिंक दिस वाज द. हाँ यस इसके पहले वाला सर. आई थिंक यस हियर.
Okay. Sorry for because of this internet problem. This is the recent study because recently this study has been published by the Switzerland in 21st July 2021 that the farm wastage will be more, and it is globally estimated that about 2.5 billion ton of food goes uneaten around the world every year, right? And that is an increase of approximately 1.5 billion tons on the established estimate of 1.3 billion tons wasted each year. These new estimates indicated that all the food grown, approximately 70% goes uneaten, which is higher than the previous estimated figure of 33%. Earlier, people were saying about 33% was wasted. Now the new figure has come. The wastage has increased to 40%, maybe because of pandemic and the Ukraine-Russia war. Not only enhance the wastage of food and food security, and also people will not be able to grow, as I have already mentioned that many of the farmers were not able to harvest their previous crop, and many will not be able to grow. And also another problem is they are not getting the inputs that they require to irrigate. They are required to use sprays, fertilizers, and other things. So these are some of the issues which the farmers are facing, and it is also going to affect in food insecurity worldwide. Then greenhouse gases, as I earlier mentioned, that municipal food waste also contribute. And earlier it was estimated that 8% of the contribution to greenhouse is by the food wastage. But the new, the figure has come to 10%. There will be more wastage of food, and it is going to contribute more to greenhouse gases. Then if we see the challenges, or fast food market is going to be increased. At present, it is about $650 billion, and in next year it will reach to about $900 billion. Meat substitute. There is great demand for meat substitute because there is a lot of pressure worldwide that the livestock, they contribute more to the greenhouse gases emission. And at present there is $5,500 million market, and in next 5 years it is almost double, $11,000 million. And for meat substitute, we require the pulses, we require the field peas, and we require to grow soybean in order to produce meat substitute. Naturally, they will be coming from the plant sources. So we need to change our agriculture system so that we can meet the requirement for meat substitute. Because the plant sources are more sustainable as compared to the natural meat from the animals, as about 8 to 9 kg of protein has to be fed to animal to produce 1 kg of protein. So the more sustainability is there from animal from plant proteins. So bottled water market will also be almost double, and now it is about $3 million, right? So organic food and beverages will be also more. So we need to develop more of our organic forms. At present, $1.8 lakh million is the market, and which is coming to $8.6 lakh million. So functional food is again at present $2 lakh million. It is also going to be enhanced. Food traceability would be another important area, because everybody, like in USA, in Canada, everybody want to know from where the milk, which farm has produced that milk. Even they want to know which animal has produced that milk. So again, this will travel to India or in developing country. People would like to know from where milk is coming, from where the wheat grain is coming, or if they are buying atta, and from which wheat the atta has been produced. So food traceability would be another area of interest, which will be also expand in our country. So I have already explained that fast food market is thing, and there is a serious issue related to the traditional food market. We need to develop or advance the technology for our traditional, foods, as our kids are getting addicted to the fast food or junk food, and we need to see how we are going to enhance the traditional food market. So this is already many times, people have shared this, that we are still just trying to meet the requirement of our people. And in North America, Japan, Western Europe, people are talking about longevity food, functional food, organic food. We are much, much behind. Besides, we have to see how we have to provide the functional and organic foods to our population. Besides, not only to enhance the productivity, we have to improve the quality of the material, quality of the nutrition quality of our products. So food security is insecure and worsening day by day, mainly due to our increasing population in our country, and because of the depleting sources, like water is depleting, our soils are depleting, and many food grain producing states will face the necessary action would not be taken. GM crops, people have started talking. I just want to mention that ethanol, which is produced in Brazil and USA, is coming from GM corn. And if we will start producing ethanol from our normal corn, we will not be able to compete the cost of production, because the cost of production of GM corn is less as compared to the normal corn. Whole ethanol, which is being produced in Brazil and USA, and is coming from the GM corn. So, but I don't think that, because you need to produce the corn with less cost and more of the starch. And if we will allow the GM, the corn for the production of, the ethanol only, we will be able to compete the market price for ethanol in the international level. So we need to have more number of food processing units, and we need to enhance the processing capacity of the existing unit and developing the warehouse and cold storage infrastructure. So thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for a very, very nice and elaborate. This is really, you have thrown up many challenges in food scientists, food technologies, they work hard to meet up these challenges. So I think it's now we can have some questions from the participants. Dr. Singh has given a very informative and very elaborate presentation, and he has made the issue and so nicely that even as Russia, Ukraine war, etc., how they will affect, how the climate change is affecting. These are the serious issues which we will face in the near future as far as the food security is concerned. So yes, you can have participants write in the chat box, or you can also unmute yourself and speak directly with Professor Singh. Questions are welcome from the participants.
Sir, my question is, what is the scope of multigrain-based food formulation for the nutritional security in our country?
Yes, actually, there is a good scope for multigrain, but the problem with the multigrain is people don't understand their functionality before making a formulation. For example, if you are going to produce the multigrain flour for bread, multigrain bread, for example, it means you are going to use non-wheat grains in your wheat flour. And naturally, when you will be using non-wheat grain, it will be diluting your gluten proteins, right? And when you are going to dilute gluten proteins, then you are going to have a poor quality bread, right? So we have to compensate. If we are going to use non-wheat grain, how we are going to achieve the same viscoelasticity as in the original wheat flour. So we have to be, everything should be science-based. Whatever, if we are going to produce chapati, and if we are using chickpea, naturally there will be more retrogression. The chapati will become stale in a very shorter period of time. So whatever, there is a great scope, there is no question about that. But it should be science-based. For what parcel you are going to produce the multigrain, the blend, you are going to produce chapati, you are going to produce bread, you are going to produce cookies, you are going to produce cake, what product you are going to use. So you should understand the science for that. Only then you should do the blending.
Thank you, sir.
Ridesh sir also has a question.
Yes.
You can mute yourself and speak directly.
Yes, it affects all. It affects all nutrients, I tell you. I have given you, because I am a cereal technologist, so I have done most of the work on cereal grains, right? Like on wheat or rice. It definitely affects, like for example, anthocyanins. Naturally, the synthesis, biosynthesis of all these important constituents is affected. Even lipids, lipid formation is also affected, is reduced in many crops. So it affects all the nutrients, the composition of the nutrients. It inhibits, like from crop to crop in fruits and vegetables. It also affects the anthocyanin or other constituents. So usually when we measure the temperature effect, we usually see heat stress, because when the temperature will rise, the heat stress will be there. The plants are exposed to heat stress. So it is going to biosynthesis or synthesis of various, the nutrients. So it will definitely affect other nutrients also.
Sir, I have a question. One is regarding emphasis being placed on using millets, more usage of millets in food as compared to the regular wheat or rice. Sir, I would like to know your opinion regarding this. Is this very healthy?
It is healthy. Millets are healthy. There are 2-3 reasons. One is that, if you start growing millets, at least you will be able to save some water, right? Like if you compare with rice, we do the polishing of rice, and most of the nutrients are concentrated in briny layers. So when you will polish, most of the nutrients are going away. In case of wheat also, when you do the removal of briny layers and when you get flour, most of the nutrients are getting, they are concentrated in briny layers, you are losing that. That's why people started the high brown rice, then again they started incorporating bran. So millets, of course, there are two advantages. One is that, of course, we consume the whole millets, so naturally the nutrients are there. Second is they are slowly digested because of more fiber, and also they have the slow digestion, and you don't overeat anything. You don't feel hungry quickly when you consume. For example, sometimes you consume food, and after 2-3 hours you feel hungry and you have some snacks like pakoda or bread pakoda or samosa. So basically, millets, when you consume millets, you feel full and you don't feel hungry quickly. So then you can control your weight also when you are not overeating unnecessarily the junk food. So naturally, the millets are good, and they are better as compared to your polished rice or other staple ingredients.
Thank you, sir.
Narpinder,
Yes, sir.
from time to time we hear gluten being not very healthy. What is the real thing? I mean, to what extent? Because there are efforts also to reduce gluten in wheat varieties.
Yeah, actually, sir, if we compare the quality of protein, wheat and rice, the rice quality is better as compared to wheat protein. It has more lysine if we see the amino acid composition and also the digestibility. Usually, if we see the digestibility, like milk protein has the maximum digestibility, then your egg protein has very good digestibility. The digestibility of the wheat protein in comparison to egg and the milk product is lower. This is one reason, because it's a very complex protein, and that's why people have. If we compare the amino acid composition and digestibility, of course, rice is better. Of course, milk protein is better, or some other pulses, they are better. So we have to see the digestibility. If the digestibility is more, amino acid is more, then always we say of course, what I feel, I have also started consuming less of chapati, you know, and I feel very light when I have, if you say that a person from Punjab has stopped eating chapati, I consume hardly 1 or 2 chapati every day, more rice and more other things I have already started eating. Naturally, when we make a bread, we make a dough, you have seen the viscoelasticity. And I also feel that it's a more complex protein. And naturally, the rice proteins, they are better and they are more digestible in comparison to that. So maybe, yeah, people are shifting from wheat to rice or other, the cereals.
That absorption of wheat protein in our system, particularly those celiac people, etc. But this really it is a viscoelastic property. I think there is no substitute yet, because if you lower down the gluten, I think the bread and other bakery product, their characteristics, it may get severely affected. So
But Dr. Mishra, problem is if we lower the gluten content, you will not be able to make a bread.
Bread. That's what I'm.
More gluten. This is the problem.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
And at the same time, in certain individual, now the person of celiac, and particularly in the Western countries, you see, it is in the US, sir. Once IAFP meeting, I was there. There was a counter that not gluten-free counter, and in the gluten-free counter, what was there? Aloo ka bharta, some rice products, all this they have completely eliminated wheat product. So,
Yes, because extensive consumption of wheat may be the reason for this occurrence of celiac disease. So 1% of the population, they are suffering from this disease.
yes.
So extensive consumption of wheat is also not good.
But I don't think that in our country particularly, the lifestyle of the people and the nature of the work people do, this might not be much of a problem. Yes, there
But
might be
we, in North India, we also have 1% of the people suffering from this disease.
variant, है ना?
Yes.
Well, in childhood, in my village, we ate wheat, gram, peas, and barley. 4 grains were mixed
Yes, sir.
to make chapati.
Uh,
The first thing we lost was peas. Then we lost barley.
Barley, yes.
And then gram and wheat continued for many, many years. But now we lost gram also.
Yes.
Yes.
Only wheat is left. So I think I feel that initial formulation was much better.
Yes, it was, the girl was asking the multigrain. It was basically the multigrain we were consuming.
Yes.
You are very right, sir. Even हमारे traditionally जो हम लोग use करते थे, maybe that people were not knowing the science behind that, but that was much better and it has been given proven results. But now there is a trend to go backward to those days. I mean,
Because at that time, Dr. Mishra, people were not worried about, sensory and textural properties. They go for nutrition. They are not worried.
physical work भी तो करते थे. That was the main.
Yes, yes, yes. अगर उस वक्त चपाती अगर आपकी पफ होती थी तब भी खा लेते थे, नहीं होती तब भी. अब तो जब चपाती पफ नहीं होती तो बच्चे कहते हैं ये क्या चपाती है अभी.
खाने के बाद 2 घंटा जाके मेहनत करते थे फिजिकल
बिल्कुल.
सब हो जाता था. But now
Absolutely, you are right.
lifestyle has changed and that has yes sir. You are muted, sir. Prof. Singh has muted.
Mishra, thank you very much. Dr. Narpinder Singh, really, it's a great pleasure to see you.
Is there any question more from the audience? If there is no question, then we can go for the concluding.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Sir, this is Anupam. Yes, sir. Sir, I have a question regarding the food of the aged people. So,
Food of the
elite people.
food of the elderly people.
Yes, sir.
Elderly or elite?
Elderly people, sir. Aged people, sir, actually. Okay.
Aged
Older
people.
age people, basically. Older age people. So, as you were telling, like the problem with protein digestion related to the wheat consumption, along with other problems, are also associated with the viscoelastic property, with related to the digestibility and swelling, sir. So, as a food scientist, how you do think like or in this particular area?
Actually, elderly people, they don't have the same problem like. So every time you have to see, some people, they have the problem of swelling, right? Or to swell, or to consume, right? Some of the elderly people, they have like constipation is the most common problem in the elderly people. And naturally, the food high in fiber should be there. But when we consume too much of high fiber food, then you have to see from where it is coming. Because, for example, if you put too much of bran, it has more phytate. Then it reduces the availability of the nutrients, right? So we need to have easily digestible, high fiber food, right? So high fiber food and highly easily digestible, rich in nutrients.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I think there are no more questions.
Sir, I have one question actually.
You have one question. Okay.
Yeah. Sir, actually, Meera ma'am is here. Meera Sankarankutti ma'am. She was visiting faculty at ICT. She taught us fermentation technology. So I just wanted to say her hi first of all. And my question is related to fermentation only. We have microalgae based products which are coming up. So since we have a long coastline, since India has a long coastline, how exactly what is the potential that we can go into it, and what are the products which we can incorporate microalgae into?
I was visiting one of the Canadian university. People have started producing microalgae in the bioreactors. I tell you, a lot of research is going on, in producing microalgae in the lab. They have the huge bioreactors, and they are producing this microalgae there. They are, controlling all nutrient and everything because they want to produce the microalgae at the farms. Of course, they have more healthy, more, protein. I have already mentioned that the people are looking alternative to animal meat. And microalgae is a very good substitute to produce meat analogs. So people are doing a lot of work on that meat analogs, which are maybe produced because it is very difficult to produce from pulses because we have already low productivity of pulses, right? Now we are left with the either soya protein isolate. They are not very good. People are also fed up with the protein isolates, soya protein isolate. Now people are finding alternative source of protein, right? Like a number of plants they have been in Canada, they have started producing from pea protein because a lot of peas there. But microalgae, if it is cheaper source as compared to pulses, definitely people will be interested in that, 100%. But you have to see the viability of producing that and how much protein would be there. Then you have to play with that to produce meat analogs with threads just like your chicken meat. But there is a great scope, I tell you.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Spirulina, chlorella.
Yes, spirulina is one example. Yes, yes.
They have very good potential alternative sources of protein as well as energy biofuel as well. So lot of good.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ji, thank you.
So if there is no question, you can. Is there any other question? So no question. Yes, sir. So I think they have some customary. They will give customary vote of thanks. But before that, I personally, on my personal behalf, as well as on behalf of my whole team, I wholeheartedly thank Professor Singh. In fact, we are grateful to you, sir, that you agreed and out of your busy schedule, you could find this time on our time, and you have really given a very wonderful ideas and that data-based information, and brought out the challenges. It is really a serious challenge to food scientists and agriculture scientists to how they are coming up, how to cope up the ever-increasing population. So we are thankful to you, sir. We are also thankful to Professor Gajendra Singh. That is, he is in the States, and I think it must be early morning there. So in earlier also in our several lecture, he has taken the pain of attending. We always are blessed with your guidance, etc. Sir, we need your guidance and support of all the elderly people. I also thank to all people, those who are there. Yes, now it is over to the scholars
Yes.
or the customary vote of thanks.
So now I would like to invite.
Zakir, you want to say something?
No, sir. Thank you to Narpinder sir for nice presentation.
Yeah, it was a really thought-provoking. Yes.
So now I would like to invite Siddharth sir for a formal vote of thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all. Thank you.